The title of my paper is Signalling by Korean Employers in the UK Job Market. And my name's Gary Davis and I'm from Manchester Business School in the United Kingdom. The question I have is, should Korean employers signal their Korean identity as positively as they can? For example, in the context of this conference, should they reference the TheAL? As far as I know, there's been no prior research on this idea. In other words, the application of the TheAL to employer branding. And my paper and my presentation is going to report the findings from an analysis of recruitment advertising posted online in the UK but tagged with the word Korea. Briefly, a few words about employer branding. Employer branding really takes the idea of branding and applies it to the issue of attracting and retaining employees, but today all I'm interested in is attracting employees. If you want a definition, this is a good one. An organisation's bundle of employment attributes targeted at potential employees that are attractive and sufficiently unique to distinguish an employer from its labour market competitors. And the issue at the bottom is the one that's relevant to this conference. The country of origin as an employer can influence its attractiveness to potential employees. If I know the country of origin of my potential employer, that influences my impression of that job. And the theory behind it is signalling, because when we communicate with other people, we sometimes don't give them perfect information. We give them a signal because we want them to understand something about us, but we don't want to give them the whole detail. So signalling in a recruitment context can be any instance in which the prospective applicant makes inferences. We make assumptions about the unknown organisational characteristics. We want to know about our potential employer, but we guess, we're happy to guess. So, in our context, Korea is the country of the TheAL. Korea is a cool country because of that. So, working for a Korean company will be cool. So, two hypotheses. Korean company recruitment ads in a foreign market will make direct or indirect reference to the imagery associated with the TheAL, because that's going to be good for their recruitment. Less established employers will be more likely to use this. So if you're Samsung, do you need to refer to the TheAL? If you're a business that nobody's heard of, maybe it's a good idea then to make a reference. The choice of context is United Kingdom, partly because that's where I live and come from, but also because we can expect to see employment opportunities for Korean companies with Korean companies to expand. Recently, 2023, there was an announcement of £21 billion, roughly $26 billion of Korean investment in the UK, expected to create about 1,500 jobs. Fantastic news for the British economy, but not for Korean employers, because the employment market, particularly for skilled people, is tight. So what are existing Korean employers saying about themselves in the UK market? Content analysis of recruitment advertising has been used before to monitor the skills in a profession, to look at how legal these job ads are, to look at the content clarity and the credibility of advertising. But this last reference is probably the most relevant, where the authors found that the more you say in a job advertisement, the better, the more positive the attitude will be of the job seeker. Methods. I first downloaded 100 recruitment advertisements tagged Korea from a website called Indeed.com. It's a global listing service who scrape job ads from various sources. So if you put a job ad on your own website, the chances are that the following day it will be on Indeed's website as well. So you can go into Indeed's website, put the word Korea in, put the word UK in, and you can see all the jobs tagged with that word on offer in the UK. So of those 100, I reduced it substantially by eliminating duplicates and any misclassified ads, and I added some ads from companies I knew that were recruiting in the UK market but weren't necessarily using the word Korea. So I've got 42 different ads to analyse, and they were from 28 different companies. I tried to make sure that this was a representative sample by checking on 2 other websites called Glassdoor and one that you'd be familiar with called LinkedIn. What are my findings? 2 very clear groups out of these 42 ads. One group, and all of them required people to be bilingual. But when you looked at it, they were all large, established Korean multinationals, many of them banks. Some of them I'd never heard of, but if you're from Korea, you would know them very well. But LG and perhaps even Kotra would be known around the world. Another group of ads did make the sort of references that I was expecting. In the first group, you were just told, we want you to speak Korean, and that was it. No references to Korea as a country, no references to TheAL. In the second group, the sort of references that I was expecting. Another sort of group, if you want to call it that, 6 ads, no reference to Korea, other than the name of the country, which might include the word Korea or Korean. And 2 companies, some of the Samsung ads and all of the Paris Baguette ads, no reference to Korea whatsoever. Looking in detail at the ads that did make strong references to a Korean identity, cosmetics business Pure Sol, they asked for a strong passion and existing knowledge of the Korean beauty industry, or just passionate about K-beauty. The word passion often comes into these ads, and my Korean friends tell me that often Korean companies will require their employees to be passionate. This particular company also mentioned unlimited access to free company pantry of yummy Korean snacks. Knowledge of Korean as a language was, to be able to speak it was sometimes mentioned, but only as a plus, not essentially. Food and general retailer Oseo was seeking part-time retail assistants and said, we bring the elegance, tradition, vibrance and excitement of Korea to the UK, and our name means welcome in Korean. Great, it gives me that evocative feeling of Korea. H-Mart wanted an HR professional and mentioned, we are enthusiastic about bringing authentic Korean culture and traditions to the UK. They did actually prefer a Korean native speaker. Fast food restaurant, on the other hand, Mr. Kimchi wanted kitchen staff, but even those kitchen staff, they wanted to be passionate about Korean food. Another cosmetics company, Skin Cupid, even though they only wanted a warehouse assistant, they wanted that person to have a strong passion and knowledge of the Korean beauty industry. Restaurant Kianbai asked that the potential employee be, again, this word passionate about Korean cuisine and note culture. So, none of the last group, talking evocatively about things Korean, none of those companies seem to have started in Korea. Most of them were small or medium-sized enterprises. The largest was H-Mart, which has its origins in the United States of America. Some founders appeared to be second-generation Koreans, but some appeared to be not anything to do with Korea at all. They were Chinese, they were Indonesian, there was one Norwegian, but they'd seen the business opportunity of pretending to be Korean. As expected, these less established businesses made the most use of Korean-related references because they needed to get a positive image across pretty quickly because no one had heard of them previously. Established Korean multinationals, these were the guys that were demanding Korean as a language. There might be 2 reasons for that. There is academic literature research on this that says it might make it easier for head office to communicate with its subsidiaries abroad and make the transmission of ideas also valuable. Other people say it's a cultural thing. If you know the language, you also know the culture and you know what the business culture can represent. One though source criticising this approach and saying, well, hang on, what is it that you really want? Do you want someone to be a good salesperson, or do you want them to speak Korean? What's the balance between those 2? The other reason why companies like Samsung and LG might not want to use more evocative references to the TheAL is maybe they don't want to emphasize their Koreanness. Maybe they want to be seen as global players rather than Korean companies. So what's my contribution? Most of the Hulu literature emphasizes consumers, the export of Korean products, inbound tourism. Hopefully I've managed to convince you that other stakeholders can matter. Korean employers may wish to consider the benefits of referring to their culture when they are marketing themselves to overseas recruits. The work, in my opinion, adds to the limited literature on the attractiveness of working for foreign firms, doesn't matter if they're Korean or not, and to current work on the role of the Hulu in international business, and to the general problem of recruitment of employees by foreign firms. Further work, I was quite excited by our findings from this limited sample, so we've extended the work. We're now going to have 100 ads in total from the UK and also 100 ads from the American market. We're starting to interview managers in Korean companies, asking them why their approach to advertising. It could be that we're starting to see some insights into globalization as well. This insistence by Korean companies on hiring Korean speakers. One final point to people used to the marketing literature. The ads that we looked at contained no visual material at all, not even a company logo. That's the end of my talk. Signalling by Korean employers in the UK job market. If you want to see the references that I've been referring to, please ask the conference organisers. I'm happy for you to have copies of the slides, and in particular a copy of this particular slide.